It's not even been 10 days since the Economy 2.0 patch launched and completely wrecked my economy here in Easthaven County, Massachusetts. And despite the bugs within that patch, generally it has just resulted in hours of fun management style gameplay, which I was sorely missing. And now, seemingly out of the blue, the Detailers patch is here, and it adds a ton of new detailing options as well as service buildings of all different scales. And in many ways, it's exactly what I've been requesting, especially for a city or county like Easthaven. So today we're gonna take a very practical approach and attempt to implement as many of these new service buildings in contexts where I feel they are the perfect fit. And right before we begin, here's an obligatory friendly reminder to like this video if you enjoy my content, as that really helps out. Thank you. Now, we did actually manage to wrap up the most recent episode stabilizing our budget, or sort of stabilizing it. We're still in the red, so I guess that's just a forever theme here. But generally, I'm very happy with the Economy 2.0 patch, as you probably know by now, because it feels more fun, engaging, and also quite realistic. If we make dumb decisions, and I am bound to make dumb decisions, I'm gonna get punished for it. We're gonna have to pay for it. Maybe we'll take out loans, go in debt, the city will be ruined. Okay, that's a bit dramatic, but I'm generally just finding this new level of engagement much more fun. And look at the profit we're turning. This game is too easy. Now, we've got so many cool new service buildings and assets to play with, so let's just jump straight into it. And the first thing I want to do, just to place one of my favorite new buildings, is revamp the high school system here in Easthaven County. So currently we've got a single high school which is at maximum capacity. It's in the Riverview Heights district, southwest of downtown Chowder Bay. And I really want to use the, let's just find it, this one, the urban high school asset. It is just, it's awesome. I want to place it somewhere in downtown Chowder Bay, or at least one of the inner city areas surrounding downtown Chowder Bay, because it is, at least currently, the biggest city in the county. And then I think we're probably gonna need a high school over here in West Point as well, because if we check our statistics, then yeah, we've got almost 1,400 that could attend, 1,300 I guess, against the capacity of 800. So I'd rather we just pause the game and we get this fixed up. Now I think I'm gonna place the urban one first, but then I think I'm going to delete this one and place the new one, because that feels a little more realistic, because placing a new one is going to be an upfront cost of $300,000, whereas if I were to relocate it, that would only be $96,500. So I'd rather just demolish this and place the new one to get that full cost in our budget, because that is going to be, in my opinion, more fun and challenging. But of course, the first thing's going to be placing this new bad boy. Location. It's a pretty sizable asset, so most of these blocks here in downtown or old town won't actually be able to fit this building here. But there is this spot here. There's this kind of awkward spot here where we've got a bit of low density commercial assets next to the Chowder Bay train station here. And I think if we just get rid of those, as well as this little alleyway here, we might just be able to actually place this with Anarchy enabled. And then let's see. I mean, I guess in theory it's the perfect fit. I think I would like to just move it like half a meter or something, so that we've got a bit more clearance. But generally I think this is a really nice location here, because obviously it's a bit of an odd sized lot, so I really think as we zoom out that just adds a lot more character. But it's obviously also very practical, because it means that there's an easy connection here to the train station. Now you could argue that as long as we only have a direct line between Chowder Bay and downtown West Point, then, and since we're gonna build a high school in West Point, I mean, you know, the train line isn't really going to be populated with teens attending high school over here, but actually living in West Point. But we are going to expand our passenger rail network, so I guess this is future-proofing things, just a little bit at least. So I'm just gonna get rid of some of these bushes and trees that kind of poke through after we enabled Anarchy, just to move this building. And then let's just see if this is fine. I guess if we could just align the surfaces here with the fence, and that is nearly a perfect fit. Now we've got a few fantastic upgrade options. So there's the kind of standard capacity upgrade, which is these extensions floors that basically makes the building much more substantial by adding 4 extra floors. But then there's also the rooftop sports park, which has like a pretty citywide effect, at least within a radius of 500 meters, adding well-being and outdoor recreation. The upkeep, it's kind of hefty at 7,500, but the visual effect you see, it adds like an additional sky bridge and just a really cool area here. So I think I'm gonna spend this money. Yeah, I can't help myself, but I mean visually that just adds a ton. And I mean these the new assets here are just chef's kiss. Anyways, if we check our statistics again, we've now got quite a bit more capacity than we actually need. So just gonna pause the game again, and then we're gonna get rid of this bad boy up here, because we're gonna pay the full cost of building a new high school entirely. We can't just relocate it, that would be too easy. Now I think this big open lot would be a very good place to get some low rent housing placed. We do have lots of demand for high density residential stuff, and I don't really want to build any condo towers, so I think some low rent options would probably fill out real quickly with citizens. And I think the location is okay. We're outside of the inner city, that's for sure, but we are close to a recycling center and a maintenance depot, so there is a slight industrial vibe here already. But anyways, we need to place a high school over here in West Point first, of course. And I actually don't think I want to place the regular high school here, because the footprint is just massive. We may add it down the line, because we're gonna need more high schools with the new student calculations going on in the game now. But generally, West Point is kind of dense. You know, lots of small narrow streets, and as soon as we leave the build-up environment and cross the train tracks here, I love when this train comes into the custom station we built. Anyways, when the density drops, we also get quite hilly terrain, where the bigger high school is a little more difficult to place. And I do like the idea of West Point also being a very old city and having a historical high school pretty much in the downtown area. That is going to require us to demolish a few roads though, because even if I choose this small high school, which is a custom version on the PDX mods, then as you guys can see, there's really not all that much space for it. But I'm gonna do it anyways, because I'm certain it's gonna look real nice. So we are gonna grab this bad boy here and just squeeze it up real close to Mulberry Street here and get that placed. And then we'll do a little demolition cleanup here, get in a few additional row houses to kind of make up for all the stuff we just wrecked, kinda. And I think that looks real good. We're still in downtown West Point, although the northern end, so there's a good mix here. You know, all the old buildings, the old row houses, this elementary school as well. Yeah, I kind of like this. And just before any of you think that this is a super cheap gamey solution because this is a custom asset, don't worry, this one is actually quite a bit more expensive per student than the regular high school, because as you guys can see, with 15 employees, the total cost is almost 41,000 bucks a month. And compared to the high school, the regular high school, it has twice the student capacity, but the total cost, due to it also only having 15 employees, is around 50,000 or 49,000, I think, at least. So this is actually per student a more expensive solution. I just think it's a more fitting solution for West Point. And you know, I just want as much variety in our service buildings as possible, so this still leaves the regular high school as an open option for us. Now, surprisingly, I'm making better money now with these changes here. So yeah, I mean, I would probably make even more if I didn't place these high schools. So things are just jumping all around the place right now as the city is trying to settle. But let's get that public housing going. And I want to go for a pretty simple setup here. So I'm gonna drag out a basic lane here. And one here as well, and then I'll just attempt to make a decent curve here. Yoink. And we'll probably just drag out a straight road from here, something like this, and then we'll work within this spot here, because then we've got a bit of open grass, you know, we can do a bit of landscaping here, which is very common for these public housing projects, not just in the former Soviet Union, also in the US. I saw quite a few of these when I visited Manhattan. I've already searched for some low rent variations. I don't want too tall buildings, and I do want buildings that have parking spaces as a part of the asset, because that saves us a bit of time and they look pretty good right off the gate. So let's just see if I can add these in like kind of a pattern here. So if we add these close and then we bring in a bit of distance, actually we could probably add the version up here first, then bring these close, something like that. Then we've got almost the same distance between the buildings, and I think if we just move this so that we can squeeze in a path here, then that is going to complete the look. So very, very simple setup, but it really does the job, in my humble opinion at least. I'm gonna grab the pathway here and disable any type of snapping and just bring in a path through here. And once again, just using the regular path, no custom setup. And then here, I guess we could do something a little more exciting. So we're gonna bring this up around 3 tiles, and we'll do the same over here. So they are sort of symmetrical. Then enable snapping, enable complex curve, and then it's gonna be, I'm gonna enable snapping here. Sorry, Anarchy, or I'm gonna mess things up. I'm gonna try and go halfway down if I can. Oh, I'm gonna eyeball this. Can I get the snapping right here at least then? To the path, I can't. It's snapping to something else. Oh, here, almost. We're gonna go without snapping, hardcore mode here. Is that right? Oh, I don't know. That's good enough. I'm not gonna redo it. It's not gonna be better the second time around, that's for sure. Anyways, let's just get a path here on either side, real close to the parking lot. And then we've got our super basic symmetrical design. And as expected, the almost 400 new households we provided here have near 100% occupancy. So I think I'm just gonna add like a strip of commercial developments here alongside Lowell Street. Now that this is a more dense area, it's kind of a suburban commercial strip here for some basic shopping. But we should hopefully see a little more asset variety here, because I've went into the asset editor and I pretty much did the same trick for the North American low density commercial zone as I did for the residential one, and that is I grabbed a bunch of level 3 assets that I felt could also go as level 1 and 2, and then I converted them to level 1 and 2 so that when we zone new areas we should get a higher variety of assets, because, well, all the level 3s could be here as well. So it's just a small thing that I like to do to just get, you know, more variety in assets. And it's the very same thing we did over here in Chester in the previous episode, where there's actually a pretty decent variety of assets just by using this trick and zoning a bit of European low density as well, because the themes are generic enough. And while we are out here, I just noticed that we are only having 4 hearses in use. We made massive upgrades here to handle the death wave of Economy 2.0, but I mean, right now, I mean, before the poor people of Butler Hill starts dying from ground pollution, we don't actually need all this coverage. So I think one of these, we're just gonna be deleting. Is that actually only this object? It is. Oh, great. And the other one, we might as well just deactivate that. So this one will deactivate, and then we'll just, I mean, we'll wait for better days in the dead people pick up business. Right now, business is a little slow, which is bad for them, but it's good for the rest of us. Also seems that there's a ton of traffic here, but we have added a ton of new people to the island here as well as here, so maybe a few upgrades would be in place. So let's just grab the 3-lane road here and get in an additional lane here, and we'll do the very same here. Let's see, is it necessary here? Probably. At least we don't need the street side parking on this road, so I think that's fine with an upgrade. And then we can upgrade to one of these new fancy, beautiful roundabouts. So we'll grab, not a very large, but one of these large ones that have these decorative areas in the very middle. And I think I'll just grab this one. Looks pretty good, actually. And we've got 2 lanes now, so hopefully we should see a bit more traffic being able to pass through. I say that, but I guess if I don't provide any upgrades here, then that's probably not really gonna be the case. So let's just do something like this, and I wonder if we should actually go for a 4-laner here. They're so bulky, but maybe do the highway variant because they are just a little slimmer. Yeah, I think we're gonna do that. And hopefully I'm not messing up anything by just removing the extra utilities we've got down here. Oh my, we reached a new milestone. That feels like it's been a while. Oh yeah, we can borrow more money. Thank you. Not that we need it, because I'm making 10,000 an hour. I mean, what? How? Taxation, presumably. And my service upkeep has actually been steadily dropping, it seems. That's interesting. I replaced 1 high school with 2 high schools. Oh well, I'll take it. And we've obviously still got our work cut out for us in expanding the Easthaven County education system. And I may have just judged the high school demand a little too quickly, because we might need a 3rd high school a little faster than I anticipated. But I think the real big issue here is our elementary school situation. That is looking pretty terrible. So that's what we're gonna do next, and we've got new nice assets to use here as well. So I'm just gonna highlight that I won't be using the urban elementary school here, this inner city wall-to-wall building. I think architecturally, design-wise, it's a really nice asset. It has some cool upgrades as well, but the footprint is just too big for either of the 2 cities we've got going. It almost fills an entire block, so it's just too bulky to actually place, at least with the cities we currently have. This new small elementary school, though, is just a fantastic asset with some fantastic upgrades, so we are gonna put that one to use. And I think if we just once again take a look at this map here, so we can see the institutions we have, then we've got high school coverage in both of our main cities. We've got a main elementary school in both of our main cities, and then we've got Cape Autumn, primarily rural, so we don't have any educational institutions out here just yet, and I think that's fine. It's very low density, but we probably need some out here on Cape Rose, because we are actually adding quite a few people now. So we're gonna get the small elementary school in place out here, and I think I'm gonna place it in Chester, but probably just going to kind of expand Chester, grab some of this landscape we've got here, maybe place the school here. So I will be grabbing the regular 2-lane road here, and we're just gonna branch out from the intersection we have here. And I'll just move out in a straight 90-degree angles for starters at least, and then we are gonna have a really long transitional curve as we move up here. I don't want to move too close to the beach. I want to preserve some natural characteristics out here. And we should probably upgrade this segment as well. I'm just going to freely upgrade it so that I don't get any weird looking intersections here. And then this is looking a little wonky, so if we grab move it, and we can now specifically choose manipulation mode, which is very nice, then I should be able to relatively quickly just make this super node a little more super. Yeah, add those extra slip lanes. Oh, I love the road networks in this game. It's a pleasure to work with each and every time, and sometimes I'm just looking for excuses to make complex stuff. Quite the contrast to Cities 1, I'd say. Getting rid of these crosswalks, because that's for European folks. That's a little dramatic, but we're not using crosswalks out here, and we're not using crosswalks in European suburbs either, by the way. I'm just being cheeky. Anyways, we've got Willow Street nicely laid out for us. I did actually have Anarchy off, so I'm a bit surprised to see all these trees here, but yeah, that happens. I can remove that later. Let's get the school placed. So let's see, we've got a 5,000 upkeep, which we can't quite trust. I really need a wage upkeep to be displayed here as well, or just the total upkeep, because you can't really figure out what you actually end up paying for your services. But on paper, 5,000 upkeep and 400 capacity, 40,000 upfront cost. The regular school has 1,000 capacity and 100,000 in upkeep. In upfront cost, and an upkeep of 12.5. So yeah, it's in a good spot, this one, I think, especially with the extension wings we can add. So let's just get this placed, and I want to freely place it. Just move it slightly back from the road and not have it too close to people's gardens. Get that placed there. And what a boring asset, which is absolutely perfect. I'm looking for super realistic, boring municipal assets or city service assets, and this one fits the bill. So we'll just move into our roleplay territory and get it named right out the gates. And then we've got two nice upgrades. We can add an extension wing giving 100 student capacity. We're definitely gonna grab one of those, maybe even two. And then we can add in the gymnasium, which provides well-being, outdoor recreation, attractiveness 1. Not sure what that means, but yeah, it sounds like a Tinder feature. And I'm just gonna move this slightly back from the road as well, try and place it here. And this is just a lovely, lovely looking asset as well. Fits the theme rather well, and I'm so happy with this option here. I mean, and of course with Anarchy we can really go ham, and it's still gonna function and be part of the same school. So, but there's no need for Anarchy in this case, because this radius is actually pretty big. So let's just see what we can do here. I think we're just gonna have this placed here, and then I'll create some paths so that they kind of look interlinked. And then I'm wondering if we need one more, because we really do need additional capacity. Now this may cause, it didn't actually cause any issues, it seems, with the pathing. So that's perfect, because then we actually do manage to get that extra 200. Alright, a little surface editing should really make this seem a lot better integrated with its surrounding buildings. So I'll just be adding a couple of pathways here, just to get that placed. We might even, yeah, we're gonna do something like this for that proper integrated feel. Perfect. And we can use even more new stuff, because we've also got new parking lots. I don't know if you can sense that I'm kind of excited about this patch. But to be fair, quite a few of you commented on the most recent video that, yo, there's a new patch, you should probably try it out. And I know. I couldn't wait. So let's just grab this modest parking lot. I'm loving that name. It is quite modest, and we'll just place that here. And once again, I find, you know, just a bit of surface work, and you've got what looks to be, you know, something that was actually built as a single project by one developer. And we'll just get rid of these bushes wherever they poke through. And I think down here, since we have clipped two extension wings together, we can enable Anarchy and probably create a bit of a better look here if we do something like this, so that we don't have visible texture clipping at least. And we are just about the flimsy fingers here, just about there, so that we can see the final project. And I am very, very pleased. I think this is a very, very nice addition to Chester. I am just gonna try and see if I can create a node here so that I can upgrade these segments here. We'll add some grass so that we don't have any on-street parking here. That should not be necessary with dedicated parking here. And that's about it. Probably gonna add maybe a few decals and whatnot to really finish the look, but yeah, I like it. And we need to expand the actual Chester district here, and probably just add a row of houses here as well. So I'll just go close to the road and just add up until the parking lot here. And it's a lot nicer now to just utilize the regular North American low density theme after my little work in the asset editor, knowing that there's gonna be quite a bit more variety in the level 1 houses we'll be seeing. So yeah, I really recommend if you wanna play a bit with the asset editor, I think that's a great way to start. It's such a simple concept, and the editor, I guess, isn't really quite finished, but it actually, in my opinion, it works rather well, at least for these like very small things I've been using it for. I imagine for more advanced things, it's probably more obvious that it isn't quite finished. Added in some trees with Anarchy, because they will stick around, obviously, hard to get rid of, so this area should look all finished up as soon as they fill in. And I think while we are out here near Cape Rose, we might as well just check some other basic service coverage, starting with police. And it seems we're okay. There's a single patrol car out here, but it doesn't really seem like crime is that much of an issue. And if we check our healthcare coverage, it's a different story though. There's like sort of an invisible line here in the southern parts of Chester where we go from good coverage to bad coverage. So I bet if we check the happiness meters of Chester, yeah, we'll see a +1 for reliable healthcare coverage there at the bottom. But if we move to Victoria Beach, they're still happy, but on average, but there's a -3 for unreliable healthcare coverage. Moving to Pinewood Dale, it's probably the same. It's actually even worse, but I guess that is even further from the it's the Chowder Bay Medical Clinic that is assigned to actually cover these areas, and obviously it is located in Uptown here in Chowder Bay, so there's quite a distance to actually cover these areas, and it's really only Chester that is seeing sufficient coverage. Fortunately for us, there is a new small medical clinic as part of the detailers patch. And once again, it's just the perfect fit for what we need. And I think I'm gonna place it out here in our little resort town of Cape Rose, because it is the most dense place. Not that it's dense by any means, but it is, for now at least, the most densely built up spot out here. And I can see I have to place this with Anarchy because yeah, the game is just going to give me a hard time if I don't. And I think I'm just gonna be placing it right here. And once again, this is just a really simple, lovely little asset. So let's name it Cape Rose Medical Clinic. Obviously for the Cape Rose Medical Clinic, I am going to select some specific operating districts here, and I should probably also cover Chester, but that is going to spread out my services further. So I think for now, since Chester is actually gaining a 1+ from the coverage that is supplied from the medical clinic here in Uptown, we're not gonna assign it. We're just gonna keep as is, because this medical clinic. It's cheap, it's small, 6 employees, but it also only has 3 vehicles, so it's really not geared for any massive, you know, a major crisis or you know, lots of people getting sick in a short amount of time. And I don't think, yeah, it doesn't have any upgrades, but I think that's fine. But yeah, nice little addition, once again enabled by this new patch. In the meantime, high school demand has been steadily growing, and I'm now facing a deficit of about 400 spots for new students. So let's add an additional high school. And besides the custom small high school, which we've already placed over in West Point, we've got a third option here as well in the new official small high school. Once again, a fantastic looking asset. Gonna find somewhere out here in Cape Rose to place it. I think we're gonna keep Victoria Beach very, very resort oriented, and then instead move on this side of the highway here. We've got some open space here, which we might be able to use for a good fit. So I'm just gonna disable Anarchy so that we can also clear most of the trees as we place this. And let's see, maybe actually moving closer here so that we are real close to Cape Rose might just be a good idea. Because I was considering having a bit of a commercial strip here as well. So just gonna align this something like, wait, why is that not gonna work? Here we go. And once again, it's a pretty nice looking asset, looks fairly generic as well. Let's just check the upgrades. So the high school sports park is actually not quite the same, I think, sports park as the one we can add to the normal high school. But it's also locked because I haven't actually unlocked the progression node large sports parks. So I kind of like this feature that some upgrades can be locked behind progression nodes if they realistically would fall into that category. So I think we aren't gonna place this immediately, at least. I don't even know how big it is either. But we've got the extension wing adding an additional 100 student capacity, and we're definitely gonna be placing this. So I'll be placing it on this side of the road here near the corner, and then I think we are gonna need a parking lot. And I'll see if there are any of these new ones that fit the bill. We've got this long, slendy one, which might be a good idea here. We've already got one on as part of the actual asset. But of course, this would allow us to align an additional parking lot here. And it seems I can align it real close actually to the assets. I'm just gonna try this at least, because that would certainly make for an easy parking lot expansion. And that seems to work rather well actually. So the good old classic here, getting some expansions with our surfaces just to better integrate the parking lot here. Bring the grass out to the road, and that is pretty much it. Make sure the cars can actually enter the parking lot, but otherwise that's pretty much it. Although just as with the elementary school, I'm just curious to see how it would look if we actually placed an additional extension wing here. Obviously it has a practical benefit because we need the extra spots. 600 is better than 400 because we did actually need 400. Yeah, we were 490 slots short, and we now have a surplus of about 100. So that actually did work out, and surprisingly it actually isn't complaining about any pathways. That'd be interesting to see how these actually this one doesn't even look like it's connected to the road, but I assume it works as it should, or otherwise it's a bug. But I am just gonna add an invisible pedestrian path either way, just in case. Add a couple of these, just so that I'm sure everything works as intended. I'm sure it works, it's just, yeah. I just wanna make sure, and I'm just gonna add a few small extra paths so that I can use the surface painter to just kind of integrate this segment here a little better with the surroundings. And we are obviously also going to be bringing these two units together. Something like this, and we'll add an additional one here. Bring it up to here, and so district-wise, I'm going to make it a part of Pinewood Dale, but I think just as a quirky little thing, I'm actually gonna call it the Cape Rose High School, because it seems to me that the locals, this includes me, pretty much refer to this island as Cape Rose, despite it's not really being the official name. I don't know the official name. I mean, formally this is Cape Rose and it's an actual small town, but yeah, the island is also referred to Cape Rose, so yeah, we've got Cape Rose High School. I'm pretty sure we haven't restricted any of the high schools to special districts. West Point High School, citywide. Let's just check Chowder Bay High School, a very same thing, citywide, and of course it's the same deal with Cape Rose. So I'm kind of imagining that, you know, you can pretty much attend the high school you want to, as long as you're willing to sort out your own transportation needs. And then maybe these 3 high schools have, you know, they kind of emphasize a few different things. At least that's kind of the case here in Denmark, or at least the like our version of the high school. Some will be more focused on, you know, involving nature into the classroom if it's in a beautiful location. Some will, you know, focus on esports academies or whatever. So I think that's also going to be a thing here in Easthaven County. I still want to add our very first inner city college here in Easthaven County. I'm going to use a custom model to just keep the scope and scale kind of low. And it's going to be somewhere here in downtown Chowder Bay, or one of the inner city areas. And there's a spot here, there's this block here, which is one of the biggest blocks in downtown, it seems, and I think it would be a good fit. My plan is to use this small college, which is basically just using the college library model to create like a downsized version of the college. And I think once again, it's not like this is a like financially good solution if you calculate how much it is per student. It is overall cheaper than placing the actual college, but there's definitely a scale benefit of placing the biggest college, but realistically, we'd probably have something like this instead. So I'm gonna have to clear out the space, and I want to get rid of the Chowder Bay Police Department Northport Station here as well, because once again, we've got a new asset we can use, and this one is just so spread out, it takes a lot of space. So let's just get the police situation fixed first. We've got the urban police station here, and I think scale-wise, this is pretty much a perfect fit for Chowder Bay. So whereas I think the urban elementary school was just too big and bulky, this asset here it's just perfect. Now I'm not really keen on, actually let's just enable snapping and remove Anarchy so we can see where we could realistically place it. And it's just about a little too big for most of the downtown blocks, unless we of course remove a bit of parking space and stuff like this. But oh, it seems we've actually got a pretty perfect fit out here in the hill. So if I am to place it here, it kind of fits perfectly within the spot. There is a bit of elevation here though, so maybe we can just customize this placement a little more by trying to add in an additional node here. I'm just gonna double click and it seemed that worked. And then we're gonna add a key wall here and a key wall here. And the reason I created the extra node is that if I add the key wall here, then these houses won't have any connection and they'll be removed. And I don't want that. But now things are looking pretty nice and it's well snuck into this spot here. So let's just get this tree moved ever so slightly, and I'm gonna remove these ones. Great, having named that, let's get rid of this bad boy here, because now we definitely have too much patrolling the streets. And obviously I'm tough on crime, that's why you should vote for me. I'm super tough on crime. But I don't want 2 stations right next to each other. Gonna get rid of the parking lot here and the custom surface, and then I think the rest is zoned. So we should be able to just freely place this small college here with our 500 capacity. And it already includes some hedges and a bit of landscaping, so I don't think I want to freeform place it. I'm just going to place it. And it's a really clever reuse of an existing asset. I'm so happy people have had a little adventure in the asset editor creating these things, because they just add, yeah, they add some of that, you know, extra customization of service coverage that Detailers patch is now also supporting from like official side. And I'm just hoping for even more. I mean, give me even more schools, more police stations, more of everything. Anyways, let's get just a bit of parking in here as well. I'm gonna use one of these new ones, probably just a long parking lot here, which we also used in the Cape Row High School. Yeah, that's a pretty good fit. And then I don't think we want any more industry out here. So I'm going to rezone so that we get a bit of row housing, a bit of medium density. And then we've got a corner lot here where we can, I mean, we can do it like a small low density building here, but otherwise we are gonna try and squeeze in a bit more row housing. Pretty healthy parking demand here in downtown. This one just got completely over flooded instantly, and these poor fellas, yeah, they drove in vain. And it's fall now. We've officially entered September, so we've got some beautiful fall colors going on. Look at some of these. Look at the scenery here. I've noticed that this nice villa out here in Pinewood Dale has unfortunately burned down, and Mr. Lex Mosley is contemplating his life decisions. Yeah, I mean, he could probably sue Easthaven County pretty substantially, because this fire kind of prompted me to take a look at our fire and rescue situation, and you are more likely to have good fire coverage in the northern parts of Cape Autumn than down here in Cape Rose. I'm just gonna remove this so we can see the actual coverage. It is looking pretty bad, and we've once again got kind of this invisible split here at the office parking Fairview Downs. So anything that is south of this stretch of highway that is reliant on services from Chowder Bay is gonna have a bad time. Anything north, so that's pretty much just Chester, is gonna have a good time. But I guess this kind of prompts us to revamp our fire and rescue situation ever so slightly. So we do have our coverage in here. Let's just see if I can actually find the fire station. Oh yeah, it's right here. And it is a great looking asset, but it also does have slightly small town / rural vibes going on. So I think I'll be replacing this with the new urban firehouse. And once again, this is an asset which in scale is pretty nice. Very, very usable in a city such as Chowder Bay. Let's disable Anarchy so that we can just see if we can find a good fit here where we don't destroy too much. At least I would prefer as much. And I don't think, yeah, it's not. Is it actually a corner building? No, but it can work on at least a corner with one of the sides facing the corner. That could work all right. But I'm just gonna see if I can find a good fit here without wrecking too much. Yeah. Bit of a tough one, but maybe this corner here is actually just my best bet. Actually, I mean, this block is gonna become maybe a little too dense for my tastes, but I think for now it can stay. We can always destroy a historic building with a bit more parking lots, US playstyle, you know. But this would prompt me to remove this firehouse in here and instead build a dedicated firehouse out here. I'm not sure the population density really is there to support it financially, but it will have to be just subsidized by the money I'm making in the bigger cities then, because the distances here are just they're pretty big. So yeah, we probably just need this. I just need to find the proper location. Could actually be near the tennis club, although we'll have rich people maybe complaining. Someone is having their house burned down and now the engines have to make noise. Ugh. We wouldn't want to have that, right? Yeah, I think I'm gonna place it here on this corner here. It's currently unoccupied, and it's a good location. It allows for really quick access to the highway infrastructure here. So yeah, that is what we're gonna go with. And then they can complain all they want, I think. So we've got the Cape Rose Firehouse. That's not very creative, but it'll have to do for now. I'm gonna have to look into the naming out here because yeah, whatever. I think for now it's fine. We are gonna provide coverage to the entire island, and then I want to make sure that my downtown station in here, actually I need to check whether I am providing specialized coverage here. So where do we have, we've got the West Point Fire Department here, and it is actually just not assigned to any select districts. So I think that's fine, and I think we can do the same in here. I just think it's important that we have a dedicated station out here at least, due to the distances. Now we've been adding a ton of new services and revamping existing service coverage, so I think it's time we actually start expanding just a little bit at least. We've had these extra roads out here in Victoria Beach for quite a few episodes, and this area took a ton of time to make when we did it because we didn't have access to find it, at least not if I recall. So it was a developer mode endeavor, and it was kind of rough getting this variation and ensuring that all of them are kind of fancy. But obviously with Find It, this should be a little easier now. And we're gonna manually be placing them, so I'll just need to filter. So right now I've selected level 5, low density residential, and we'll probably go for a lot width of 4 for most of these buildings. And yeah, we may dip into 3 as well for some of the tighter lots. But generally I'm going to be manually placing them, and then I'm going to move in and remove some surfaces and remove some hedges and bushes, because that's like that type of well segmented lot is really not what we're going for out here, and I'm going to be removing the hedges from these existing buildings as well. Alright, let's wrap up with a little tour of what we've built as we've surpassed 20,000 population here in Easthaven County. We move out to Cape Rose, where we expanded Victoria Beach as discussed. Getting some more fancy villas in here, removing all the hedges, bushes and all the manicured grass so that it's a little more in tune with the grass texture from the theme I'm using. And I'm just gonna show you guys that. I'm using the Vivid Cities 4K for these 4 textures, and then I'm using the Seaside Serenity for the grass. I've had a couple of questions about this, so there you have it. Did add something that looks a little more single developer built down here, and that's why I kind of opted for keeping the manicured lawns and the hedges and fences. I also did a little expansion of the district over here. It's starting to level up now, and yeah, pretty cookie cutter residential stuff here. Tried to apply a few zoning tricks and road layout tricks just to get the look I wanted. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with how we've got a pretty diverse set of suburban developments out here in Cape Rose. I kind of knew from the start that I wanted to experiment out here much more than just zoning massive grids of low density North American residential, because that can turn out kind of boring unless it starts leveling up real fast. So pretty happy with how it's turned out. As we move our attention to the main island here with Chowder Bay, we did have a bit of an empty lot here after removing the fire station, and I continue to have office demand, and I continue to have a pretty big unemployment figure. It's going down, which is nice, so things are heading in the right direction, but I did want to take my chances, zone some high density offices. Now fortunately, since I have been into the asset editor creating these, I kind of call them medium density offices basically, this is actually what spawned naturally, and as you guys can see from the outline, it's a skyscraper sunken into the ground, and it's using a low density level 5 office as its platform. It's the very same deal I've done here with this building and here, but these two I manually placed, so I'm happy to see this one grow. And of course, or not of course, but the reason I've done this is that I would like to have some mid-rise or lower-rise skyscraper offices that aren't like completely towering and overshadowing the skyline, because at least I don't want that here in Chowder Bay for now. The detailers patch includes a host of new parks. We've used quite a few parking lots, but no parks, so I just wanted to use this hedge park as I really think it's one of the nicer parks in the in the patch. And we've got avocado toast cafe latte drinking hipsters doing their morning yoga here, which is just fantastic. And we've got the homeless people that can look over there, and yeah, they don't really have much in common, although the hipsters would probably like to think they have. Anyways, I've called it Square Park since it's a triangle, and that's just how things are. Sometimes weird here in Chowder Bay, but Square Park is located within Uptown. And yeah, with Anarchy I can create sub-districts, and hopefully it's not gonna bug out, because I think it's a pretty good feature. And then moving on to my last changes, did a bit of expansion here of Mill Crest, as we had a bit of an empty patch here. And I think the thing I want to highlight here is that with the new patch we can zone around roundabouts, which is absolutely fantastic. So happy with that change. But as soon as I got the patch, I knew I had to go into the asset editor and just kind of remove the thingy. I don't even know what it is, but you know, the kind of the barrier, the centerpiece of the roundabout basically. I wanted to remove that and just save it as its own little asset. So it's this one, and I have a version here as well, which is medium sized. There's no title or description because I don't know how to do that, and it's not as important. It's just quick small assets I create like for personal use. But I like this because it actually means that now we have proper zonable cul-de-sacs basically, instead of having to have this centerpiece in there. And I think that's a wrap for this episode here. I know there's been a lot of focus on service coverage in the past couple of episodes, but as soon as I saw this detailers patch, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. And I think we really used some of these new service buildings to kind of correct some of the wrongs, so to speak, that we did following the Economy 2.0 patch, where our economy completely crashed, and I just needed to really cut back on service coverage. Interestingly, I can only assume that some of the bug fixes with this detailers patch has helped my economy as well, or that I was struggling with some sort of bug beforehand, because I'm now swimming in money again, despite having really upgraded and expanded my service coverage. Although I guess we shouldn't really underestimate the fact that I've got a lot more high school capacity now, and I actually have a college in town. That probably helps as well. And of course also that we're seeing steady population increases throughout this episode. So moving forward here in Easthaven County, we're likely not gonna spend as much time on service coverage. And speaking of the future, I'm still looking for suggestions for what to build on this empty lot and where to place our next mid-sized city here in Easthaven that will likely grow to be the biggest city. So if you haven't yet given your suggestion and you have something you want to share, then feel free to comment on this video, because I'll make sure to gather replies on this and the previous episode. As always, we'll be finishing off with some cinematics, and I want to thank you all so much for watching, all the support, all the comments, all the likes and participation. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I hope to see you all in the next one. Goodbye.